Hello, folks. It's me again, and here to talk about part two of my patent infringement story with CNS and Jergens, Pons, and Lisbeth Art. Um, this is some more memorandum, which shows that this is original strip cover, this is original box. I kind of like blew it up so you can see it at the time. This was the original package right here. This was an advertisement back in January the 29th, 1996. The Beacon Journal, or Akron. It shows the device, about how it's supposed to operate, where it's supposed to open up the sinuses by the strip moving, which I told you that it doesn't do that. It has medicine in adhesive. This right here, let's go to the media. Okay, to the media. This was in the local newspaper, the Cleveland Life magazine. This is when I was picketing downtown, trying to get some type of justice here about my case being thrown out of court. Me and my best friend was passing out flyers and so forth for 2 summers of picketing. The local channels wouldn't touch us. We went to the civil rights organization. They wouldn't help me. We went to the news media. They wouldn't touch it either. So it's been really difficult for quite some time over the years. That it's a shame that I couldn't really get no help to try to get my case back in court, because, like I stated before, in the first part of this showing, that they're railroading my case out of court, and that's just me when I was picketing. And this was in Cleveland Life magazine. This was Cleveland Life magazine, October 1997. This, I believe they did an excellent job. This was in the Bedford Heights, Oakwood, or Walton Hills, the Bedford Sun Banner. They was the first to do the story on my patent infringement, and to give you a little whiff of how it looked at the time. Inventor hopes to nose out patent victory. Right there. This is the Sun Banner. And that's, well, turn that way. It did an excellent job of comparing. It tells the story what had went on at the time of the patent infringement when I had them in court, or about to take them to court. That is also on record too, to the federal courts. Everything that you see have went to the federal courts. Now this right here, this was back in March the 18th, 1996. This one was, I went to Jet magazine for help at the time. And this shows the about the patent infringement, and it states that right here that Ohio man files lawsuit charging company that makes the breathe right device stole his invention. And I'm quite sure that you should be convinced so far what I have shown you that they had took my or stole my device. And that's it right there. It was in the Jet magazine. They would have put it in there as I would have got a victory, he said, if it would have went back to court. But, you know, like I stated before, they denied me of going to court and they threw it out on a motion for summary judgment. Now, the summary judgment here, this is what I put down for the recording, was case number 195CV2227. It was a judgment entry. And it reads that this is to verify that plaintiff, which is myself, Morris S. Glover, that Judge Paul R. Mattia has not seen, obtained facts of no discovery from plaintiff, period, on March the 15th, 1996, before granting defendant motion for summary judgment, and hereby enter the judgment in favor of defendant CNS Incorporated, question mark. This is for my records in the court. Respectfully submitted, Morris S. Glover Pro Se. That's it right there. It's the file. It was put on file on March the 20th at 10:24 a.m. at the time of 96. So, what I'm saying, folks, I believe that the litigation that happened was very unnecessary. I mean, I showed proponents of evidence that where my case should have been in court. It shouldn't have been denied. I had too much evidence. I had the patent first. The patent office had no business granting the defendant a patent when the devices was too similar, the claims was too close to mine. I showed a paper trail of a history of where the device came from. I also showed in defined detail of the similarity. And I'm about to show you some more exhibits that's a little bit bigger, a little bit close up, that if it would have went to the courts, this is what I would have showed to the court and to the jury. This is Exhibit A. As you can see it, it shows how it shows mine, and it shows theirs, and it shows how they had constructed it from mine by cutting it up, by stripping it out like it was a stolen car. So, did you see that there? This is Exhibit B of the Bree Wright and the Nose Bridge. It shows the front view, or the second view, and the side view. This is the pad or adhesive with the pad that's on the second layer. The pad that's on the second layer of the Bree Wright strip. And it goes right here. And that's the first surface. It's the second surface. It's the same situation with my device right here. First surface, second surface is a pad that can be impregnated. Theirs is just impregnated with glue. Exhibit B. This is Exhibit C. It shows an even more defined detail of how The pad is on the second layer, and theirs is on the second layer, up under the strip. Two strips with two pads on the second layer. One is mixed with glue, adhesive, which is the pad, and one is not. But both of them are still strips. Exhibit D, bite position. This is mine, showing the bite position with the pad on second surface. This is the one that's showing the brie right, with a pad on the second surface, bite position. Then it's a bite position that's on top. See? It's the same thing. The examiner, Miss Sally Garden, had no business giving them a patent because it's the same thing. If I would have came up with my device in second place and it would have went to the patent office and they had their patents in first, ain't no way that they would have gave me a patent. And then they're a corporation too. So, you know, by me being a little guy, they wouldn't do it. But it goes back to the disclosure document. If it wasn't for me filing the invention under a earlier date, I couldn't argue my case. They couldn't deny me of it because I had proof to show that it was filed at an earlier date, and they had to add credit towards my application. So let's look at that again. It's the same thing, people. You know, it's nothing technical about it. It's the same thing. This is Exhibit E. This shows how my device is held. You know, at each end. Then you got the bite position. Then you got the pad that's under the second surface. So that's how it's held. That's how it looks. Now remember, all of this is on file in my laboratory notebook, along with the applications that was granted. So Miss Gardner, the examiner, had no excuse. She had the information in her graphs. All she had to do was look at the history of my invention of an apparatus, strip apparatus, that go across the nose. That explained it even more. And if she would have did her homework and did that, they shouldn't have got them patents. It was the same thing. You know, the only way that they could have got a patent if they would have asked my permission, because I was the first originator of the idea and I was patented first. This is Exhibit F. It shows that the pores in the nose, which the oil, and it shows that there's a bite position of a strip going across the nose. It's not stuck to the nose, but it shows a strip going across the nose. This is showing the operation that is used to remove oil fluids from the pores on the nose and cleanse the nose at the same time, with the strip being up under the second layer. And then it shows that it's disposable right here. And it shows the individual's pores is drained and clean and cleansed. This is a front view. That was the side view. This is the front. Shows the pores in the nose. Shows that the product is in use. Moving oil fluids from the nose, cleansing the skin, and it's showing that it's removed. And it's showing it's in a bite position. Oh, by the way, nose bridge, I did have a trademark on the name also. Now I found some of the codes that I recorded because my books is packed up somewhere, but I typed everything down. This was years ago though. It says that Federal Statute 6.5, infringement of design patents and the Federal Circuit. Courts should take in account similarities and differences in determining infringement of a design patent. That means what I just got finished showing you. They took a part of my design to construct theirs, to say that the strip is different. It's different in maybe they alternated the design from the original design, but it's still infringement. Okay. It states here, section Federal Statute 6.2 I, direct infringement, patent in Federal Circuit. One is liable for patent infringement if a single claim be infringed. The claim of my design was infringed. Okay? Now, the summary judgment. Federal Statute 8.3b. Summary judgment. Patents in the Federal Circuit. Summary judgments cannot be used to determine cases that are not before the court by pleading or otherwise. Okay? Flow Data Inc. versus Cotton, 1995 of the Federal Circuit. This is it right here. Let's see it a little bit closer. This is some articles that I got out of the paper back then. This was in January 31st of 1995, around the beginning of the year. The strip going across the nose, the rewrite strip. This is when Jerry Rice was endorsing the product. This was in the USA Today, Friday, January 27, 1995. There you go, that was Jerry Rice. This is, now remember, this was the original box, the package that it first came in, when they first brought it to the market. Okay. Now I'd like to show you folks something. Doesn't this look similar? It's the same thing. Now also it was, at the time I was going through the patent infringement, I found some more documents that was in the paper, local paper at the time. This was in the Plain Dealer. It was on a Friday, November the 21st, 1997. It was an article that I kept, that I still kept, and I got it laminated. It says, does the United States Patent Office need an overhaul? This is it right here, folks. Needs an overhaul. Okay. And it says, don't change a system that that's fuels and inventions. And then it says processes that is out of date. Okay. Um, James J. Johnson has stated in this article, it's a very good article. He stated that many patent disputes in this country leads to unnecessary, expensive, time-consuming litigations. And this is it right here, which is true. It's true. I mean, I'm showing it to you. I mean, it's the inventor, he or she has a laboratory notebook that shows dates, months, and years, and have signatures from witnesses of the invention, then you shouldn't have to go through a jungle in order to have your case heard in court. Now, one thing that also made me inspired to do this on the internet is that I seen the movie Flash of Genius, and it really struck to me hard because the late Dr. Robert Kearns, um, he's a hero for us inventors because he did not give up, and he's right. It's wrong for another man that gets credit for another man's work. It's not right, and it's sad that he passed away in '05, but he fought a big major corporation that stole his intermittent, and it's what's really sad about this country that people is somewhat jealous of the inventor. Some people is jealous of inventor. I mean, inventors like ourselves, uh, we come up with ideas, not only to just try to make a living off of, but it also help manufacturers. It goes back to the Democrat convention that I watched, and like Elizabeth Warren said, that the system is rigged. It is rigged. To me, it's like some people that works in the government. It's like legalized gangsters. I mean, you're supposed to be there to protect the little guy from the big guy. That's what history had told me, that in the history books of what you're supposed to do, and you're not doing that. I pay my federal taxes. I pay taxes, and yet you allowed someone to take my life's work. Someone is not even the originator of a simple idea that's a strip that's going across the nose, even if it's a technical idea. But anything that makes money, the big guy always taken from the little guy. And because of that, because he has money or not, he's the big guy that's on the block. And that's wrong. Why have a patent office if it's going to be that way? Why? Why? Well, back to my story. Let's move on. Now, the case was thrown out on a motion for summary judgment. As I read, I recorded that it shouldn't have been thrown out. The defendant didn't bring anything. The only thing that they brought was lip service, and the judge went by. I never met the guy. Um, only met people within his chamber, his workers. And it was one time that we were supposed to go. It was me, my best friend, and my uncle, Robert Jackson. I called him my uncle. He was really close. He was close to my family since I was a little boy. And he was like an uncle to me. And he came along because he witnessed the idea also. And we was on our way down to the case management conference. We were supposed to have a conference. That was supposed to be the final conference to determine for us to go to court. We got dressed, we put on our monkey suits, shirt and tie, whatever you want to call it. We went downtown. As soon as we got into the judge's chambers, I think the bailiff or somebody came out, and one of his workers in the chamber said, "Did you get the message?" I said, "No, what are you talking about?" We had all my stuff there, ready to go. Uh, the judge had already granted their motion for summary judgment. Couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe it. As soon as I walked out of the door, I missed a call. They called me as soon as I walked out of the door, which I didn't know that they called. Because you got to look at it, back then, there was no cell phones. Okay? And we went downtown, and they told me that they granted their motion. So, to make another long, detailed story short, I went to Stephen B. Chesler, the one that helped me out with the AIM situation. What happened was that I asked him, what can I do in order to try to get my case back in court? He said, well, we can appeal it. But it's 1 out of 10 that can make it to the appeals court. I said, well, I had no choice. I said, I want to go with it. So I paid him the money that he asked for to try to get it to the appeals court. He sent the memorandum out that he think that was liable for them to see about my case. Within a month or two, they called us there to the appeals court. We went to the appeals court, and I think it was in April. It was in April around 97. It was around 97, I think. 97, 98. I think it was around 97. So that's when I sent out some letters of arguing about what they had done. Well, we went to the federal appeals court. We had a 15-minute rebuttal. That's called 15-minute rebuttal, where the lawyers go up to the stand or to the mic and state the case. You can do the first 5 minutes or the whole 15 minutes, or you can do the 10 minutes and then you can do the last 5 minutes to try to get the judges to bring the case back into court. And then they had the defendant was the same. Okay. My attorney did an excellent job explaining the case. I mean, that was his first time ever going to the appeals court, he told me. And when he was up there stating my case, one of the judges, I ain't gonna never forget, because I remember I told my mother when we came back and got off the plane, that he stated, well, to me, it looks totally different. And this man, I never seen him before in my life. Well, he never seen me before. But he stared me down for the whole 15 minutes that we was there. Didn't even bother to look at my lawyer. He stared me down. Okay? And that gave me a bad vibe. That gave me a bad vibe by me telling myself, I don't think this is going to go through now. I shouldn't have came into court. I shouldn't have came into court. Because he stared at me like he wanted to jump on me. And I'm not lying. I'm not making this up. Everything that I showed you on this video is the truth about about what had happened. Now, he was biased. Um, he was sighing. He acted like he didn't want to really look at the case anymore. Had one judge that was up there on the panel, because the appeal court, they had 3 judges. They had one at your home state, federal, and then as you make it to the appeals court or the Supreme Court, you had 3 judge panel at the appeals court, and then if you end up going for whatever case to the Supreme Court, they have 12 or whatever more. Okay, but back to the appeals court. He looked at me so mean, like that, like I wasn't supposed to be there. And sure enough, I had one federal judge that said something. Was the one I'm never gonna forget this. He was on the far right. It's like Skeleton, then this other judge, and another judge. I forget the other 2 names, even though I got it down on letter. But the Skeleton, I'm never gonna forget that man, because I ain't never gonna forget how he looked at me, like I wasn't supposed to be there. And my intuition told me that this man was gonna be biased. Now I don't know as it was for the color of my skin, because that's what I'm being. I'm being honest with you folks. I'm being honest with you. I see this country still got a long way to go, even though in this day and time, in my time, it still got a long way to go. I felt the presence there. He just I feel that it's 2 things. I feel that I was discriminated because of the color of my skin, and I feel that it was because I was a little guy. Now, when my attorney got finished and we left Washington, D.C., got back on the plane, I told Stephen, I said, Stephen, I don't think it's going to go through. He said, well, why, Morris? Why you don't think it's going to go through? You got to at least give us about a month. Well, that first judge in Skeleton, he stared me down until we got out of there. And I feel that the guy didn't like me because of the color of my skin. I felt it, man. I'm telling you, I felt it. That's exactly what I said, folks. So, within a week or 2, he called me, got a message. Um, they denied me of going to court, and they wouldn't say why. They wouldn't give me a reason why. So I asked Stephen, what can we do next? He stated that, well, we can apply for a rehearing. I said, well, what you mean by that? He said, like, it's like a protest. We resubmit the memorandum booklets to the judges, but we got to change the cover instead of blue to yellow. So that's what he did. He gave me the booklets, the memorandum that we brought to them at first with the blue cover on it. You had to change it to the yellow cover. And it had to be there within 2 weeks. So as soon as he gave it to me, like I told you before in the first part of this story, that I sent everything by express mail. And they had to sign for it. So I sent it by express mail. They sent it back. It was unopened. They said that they refused to give me a decision to this day. At the time, I called and they told me, first of all, that I did not send it on time. I was late sending it in. Now, I had 2 weeks, folks, to send that in for them to relook at that. And I sent it overnight mail. As soon as my lawyer gave it to me, a week wasn't even over. I sent it the middle of the week because I had 1 more week to go, or it would have expired on me. Okay, within that 2 weeks frame, they didn't tell the truth. They made it like that it came in late, which it didn't. It came in within a week, less than a week. It came in the next day. During the first week, my attorney gave me the books of my case for to resubmit it to the appeals court for them to have a last look at it to make a final decision of it. They said that it was sent late, and that was a lie. That was a lie. So let's move on. I also noticed that when I went into the drugstore, it was another situation. It was Cheeseburg Ponds. You know, the ones that make Vaseline or Q-tips and so forth. During the time that I was, this was during the time when I first got started with my patent and everything, and then when I had my patent attorney at the time, he said it was okay for me to submit information out about my product during the time it was pending at the patent office. It's okay to show it to them because you know your patent is pending. There's nothing wrong with it, but you know, I sent everything, and I sent Ponds some memorandum about a new product perspective of a new product. And this is what I sent them. This is what I sent them. I sent them a new product perspective at the time. I made print a lot of these up at the time that I wanted to show the invention of a new product perspective. And I had the letter there, and had the background of the invention, and the drawings to show the operation and the usage. You know, in this green notebook. What happened was that I submitted one to Ponds. This book took place when I had them in court. This was a supplemental memorandum in support of plaintiff, which was myself at the day and time, of objections. This is it right here. That was put on file. It's Morris Glover versus Cheeseburg Ponds, USA Incorporated. It was the defendant. This is what the objections that I put on file at that day and time. Plaintiff has shown evidence that he submitted information to Cheeseburg Ponds in February of 1992, period. During that time, plaintiff called defendant Ponds and spoke to Kim Langer, employee at Ponds at that time, period. Plaintiff told her that he was an inventor, that he was looking for a company to see if they are interested in marketing my product, and plaintiff told Kim Langer it was a new perspective of a new type of facial cleanser, period. Also at that day and time, Kim Langer, the employee at Cheeseburg Ponds, told me, the plaintiff, to send the materials to her back in February of 1992. And plaintiff also showed evidence to the court that the defendant, Cheeseburg Ponds, accepted plaintiff's materials by certified mail. The first letter from the defendant, Ponds, did not say that the company's policy is not to accept ideas from outside the company, and Kim Langer did not say that to plaintiff at all on the telephone at Ponds in February of 1992, period. And Walter Debeck, the Director, Consumer Information Center, letter did not say that the company was not accepting ideas outside the company, period. The letters read February the 20th, 1992. We have received and reviewed your letter and product patent, period. Although it looks like a very interesting patent, it is beyond the scope of our business interests within our company, period. They always say that, after they had looked at your product. Okay. They just got caught this time. Kind of reminds you of Flash of Genius, doesn't it? In February of 1993, a second letter was mailed from the defendant, Cheeseburg Ponds, to plaintiff that reads, remember this was on file, February 17th, 1993, we have received your letter and appreciate you sending us your perspective for a new product or concept, period. It is our policy not to accept ideas from the outside of our company. But plaintiff never resubmitted his materials to the defendant Ponds after February of 1992. There are questions that needs to be asked and answered. Number one, why did Kim Langer told plaintiff to mail his materials to her and the companies first of all, period, if the defendant Ponds was not accepting outside ideas, question mark, period. Number two, why did Kim Langer on the telephone did not say that the company was not accepting outside ideas to plaintiff, question mark. Number three, why did Walter Debeck first letter did not say it was not accepting ideas outside the company and just mailed back plaintiff materials, period, without opening his envelope and looking at his idea, period. 4. Why did the company, Cheeseburg Ponds, mail a second letter to plaintiff, period, when plaintiff never resubmitted his materials to the defendant Ponds, period? Now, plaintiff believes that plaintiff looked at plaintiff's first and original concept idea, invention, and took a material part of my invention back in February of 1992 of my concept to construct theirs for the company's own benefit. The Ponds product is modified from my original concept of my nose strip product and attached to the supplemental memorandum in support of plaintiff's objections is exhibits showing direct infringement by the defendant. Conclusion. For the reasons given above, defendant Ponds and Elizabeth Arden's motion for summary judgment should be denied and to allow plaintiff to present his evidence to a jury, just like the first one, which they didn't. Now, this is I blew this up in color at the time to show you. This is proof right here, folks. So right here, see, they signed for it. Right there. Right there. turn this around so you can see it. That's the certified mail receipt. That's the date, February 13th, 1992. This is the letter, folks. I highlighted it and put it on file at the time where it went to them, showing that on February 20th, 1992, it states that we have received and reviewed your letter and product patent. Although it looks like a very interesting patent, it is beyond the scope of our business within our company interest. Now see, they just lied right there. And then they tried to cover it up with a second letter, folks. This is the second letter, February 17th, 1993. You know, they sent this letter out to try to cover for the first letter because they know that they liked the idea and that they was going to do something about it. So they didn't think that I was going to pursue it also. So they took the chance to resubmit another letter out and hope that I didn't have the first original letter so they can cover their asses to make like that this was the only letter, the second letter that was sent out to me, to try to cover what they did on the first letter. This is also showing, that's on file, it's showing the two strips side by side. It's showing also that selling a material part. This is Exhibit A is the patented design, that's mine, and the accused design is the pawn strip right here. Oh, by the way, this patent also was given by Sally Garden, believe it or not. Patent number 2 of the same thing. To give you a vision of what I'm talking about, side by side. Number 1, for the nose area. Number 2, bite position, disposable. After use. This is also one on file. Explains the operation. There's open pores too, but it's you impregnate the strip with water, and then you stick it on the nose and let it dry, and then you pull it off, and it's supposed to open up the pores. It does the opposite with mine. Mine you just apply finger pressure like you would with your bare fingertips, but you're using a strip to do it within the nose area. They just tried to go around my pack, which they did. They should have asked for my permission, first of all, and paid me, first of all. And then the only way that they would have got a patent or not is that they had to ask for the originator of the idea permission, which they didn't do so. This is also showing the courts that I had a date of conception, that I have sealed letters that addressed it to myself before I even got started, before I even sent the material of the invention idea to AIM way back in 1987. Excuse me. So there you go. Case number 2. Pons did not come up with this on their own. What's bad about it, they went overseas to Japan, which they gave the idea to them and made like that the Japanese came up with it. And I'm about to show that to you now. This is the strip right here. Elongated. It's the same one just like mine. This is Exhibit D. It shows 2 elongated strips. One just sticks to the nose. One, you just apply finger pressure without impregnating the strip, just for it to pull open the pores. You just add pressure. Then it shows the bite. Then it shows the bite position. And then it shows where it's disposable at the bottom. This was in Business Week, which was March the 8th, 1999. Okay. This is the guy that's supposed to have came up with the idea of a strip. Some businessman that's over in Japan. And he did not come up with this. I believe what it was Pons must have gave them my information and must have just used them for a front man or not, to make it look like that the Japanese or someone that's overseas came up with the invention. And if they would have came up with it or not, this is what the patent law says about that. Now, this patent was granted back in '94, and the examiner, trying to remember who the examiner was. Just hold right there, folks. Let me look right quick. Excuse me. Come on, I know that. Here we go, right here. The examiner, Sally Gardner. Patent number 3. It just doesn't make no sense. Why would you give a patent for the same thing? This is, I had written this in the bottom. I edited this in the bottom. That's it would have went to court to point out some factors. That's my strip. That's theirs that they modified for my concept. Now this is what the law states. Excuse me. It states that under section federal statute 102F, a person is not entitled to a patent if he did not himself invent. the subject matter sought to be patented. This simply states a fundamental principle of American patent law. What you patent must be your own invention. Imported, wait a minute, let me start over, folks. Your patent must be your own invention. You cannot patent another's invention, nor can you patent an invention imported from abroad. That means overseas. It's right here. It's right there. And right there. They broke the law. Once again, excuse me. This is the Biore. It shows that it's just like mine. I got this out of the American Heritage Dictionary. Grasp, grip, a tight hold, firm, grasp. Okay, that stretches, to secure, maintain, a tight hold. Okay, and elongated. Okay, to make longer, to lengthen, to extend, to draw out. Okay, the act of stretching out, the part to extend. This is all out of the dictionary. This is just like mine. Right up to you so you folks can see it. So this is to also to show you that this is the patented design. The B is the Q's design. This is like selling a material part. They came up with their idea to construct it from mine. Just like the first one. There you go. This is the envelope that they sent back when they sent my documents back. This is the original envelope. It was dated back in February the 25th of 1992. This is it right here. This is the envelope that they mailed it back. That's the letters. This was the first one. And this was the second one that they tried to make up on. So, what I'm saying, folks, Pons knew that they had stolen my invention. During the time that it was in court, at that day and time, one of their lawyers came up to me, offered me a deal. the deal was only for $5,000, and then they was gonna pay me another five that they would send out. What a slap in the face. They lied about that they didn't receive anything from me, and then I brought the facts to the table, showed the court that it was a connection between me and them, that they did see the invention, that they did state that they wasn't interested and they sent it back. And then later on they come up and send me a second letter when I just forgot about it. But the information that I took, the first package that they sent me, I kept everything. And maybe they probably forgot or thought that I forgot, or just threw everything away that they sent me to still try to cover up for the second letter, because that they was know that they was going to manufacture the idea, change the idea, and make it look like that they came up with the idea. But it goes back to the patent office once again. Miss Sally Gardner was wrong because she also issued them a patent. Just like Bree Wright or just like them, anyone that comes up with an idea of a strip, it was supposed to come to me for permission because I was the first one that was on first with the patent period. Now I'm going to give you another example of another case that took place back then with tires. This was with uh, Goodyear. It was an interesting article that I took it upon myself to also use. It was went to court to give an example to the jury. Now this was the Goodyear Aqua tread. This was it right here. You know, they make excellent tires. Well, to make a long detailed story short, someone had infringed on their patent of coming up with a similar type of tire, and it was infringement because they was the first ones that came up with that type of tire, and someone else came down the playing field, took the design and tried to alternate the design, just like these other companies did me. That's the reason what I wanted to show you. So yes, they have the right to sue because they took original idea and tried to modify it into something else to make it like, well, they was trying to go around their patent, and it didn't happen. It didn't happen. But it happened to me that they went around my patent like it don't even exist. It don't even exist, and it was wrong.